Hi everyone, this is Nora Bagori from the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues, and today's pop-up workshop is simple budgets. 5 minutes goes by pretty quick, so we're just going to get right into it. Much of this presentation is resourced from the Financial Accountability Handbook from the Federation of Calgary Communities. They've given us permission to use this handbook, and any community league association can use it as well, as long as we give them credit and cite it where the resource came from. So, introduction, creating simple budgets. Typically, the role is part of the board treasurer's responsibility. Treasurer will often work with a president or a finance committee or a volunteer or paid bookkeeper. But the idea is to prepare a draft budget for presentation to the board of directors so that they can make good decisions and approve the budget, and then you're going to be monitoring the budget throughout the year. There's different types of budgets: operating budgets, capital budgets, cash flow budgets. We're just going to be focusing on the operating budget right now. 10 steps to successful budgeting. First of all, get ready. This just means review your bylaws so you're clear on what the bylaws say for setting the budget and who controls the spending. Next, determine your fixed costs. Those are the expenses that an organization will have regardless of what programs you offer. So your cost of utilities, heat, water, phone, maybe any contracts you have for hall cleaning or rink operations. Those are the types of things you have to pay for every year, regardless of what you actually do with programs and services. Then you'll find out what your discretionary budget is. This is the money that's left over that can go to funding all your priority programs and services. So once you know what it is that you're working with, then you're ready for conducting a budgeting session. It's best to have most of your board members there if at all possible. And what you want to do is generally you're trying to help the board get the real reason for budgeting. And that's making sure that they understand, are we going to have enough revenue to cover the expenses? And what range of activities can we realistically afford to do this year? And does that align with our mission and our vision? Has anything changed? Do we need to make any adjustments? So that goes to the next session, which is our next number here, which is number 5, review. So take a look at the organization's history, what services and programs you've supported in the past, and taking a look at how effective have they been. You know, was it a good use of our funds? Did we get what we were hoping for from that particular program or service? The bylaws, are they focusing on our priorities? Was there any spending changes? Did some costs come up in the past couple of years that wasn't in the other budget that we need to put in the budget this year? How are we going to look at those additional expenses and how do those affect our objectives? So once you've kind of done that sort of historical review, then you can identify your fixed costs again and find out where you're planning on paying them from. So for instance, hall rentals, revenue, is that going to pay for your hall utilities, electricity, lights, that sort of thing? Or are you going to be getting that for casino funding? Are you going to be using user fees to pay for your children programming? All of those sorts of things you want to take a look at, where the pay source is from and if that makes sense. Number 7, you want to identify the rest of your expected expenditures. Take a look, you know, have we always done a children's party? Is that what we are still expecting to do? Would membership be affected if we didn't do that? Who are the groups that we've worked with over the past year or two? Are they going to be able to help with funding or working collaboratively together? Would they expect us to still continue to provide these different types of services? And identifying your wish list. These are the nice to have projects, and want to put those in there for sure, and how you might pay for them or how you might consider paying for them. These are the fun projects, but you still want to plan for them, and it should be as rigorous as your other expenditures. And looking at, you know, can we use casino revenue for it? Can we use user fees? Are there grants that we could maybe get? Now you're ready to draft your operating budget and take a look at it with your board and say, okay, this is what it looks like. So is that what we're hoping for? Do we need to make any revisions or changes? Take a look at that. Then you're ready to do your final draft, get that approved, and start monitoring. What that could look like, here's an example of a very simple budget. It's just showing your projected budget for the upcoming year and the previous year's actual figures. So here's what we're budgeting. Here's what we actually spent in that last year. You can kind of go through that with the board and let them know of any changes and why any changes would be made. Here's your expenses. Again, just kind of showing your budget and showing what your actual was in that category last year, so you can speak to any big changes that might be made. And you can break it down a little bit more, like children's programs under rank, playground, family events, facilities. You can break that down if that's the level of detail that your board would like. And here's an example of a variance analysis statement. I like this separate than the budget because it really shows more detail, but it keeps that earlier budget process simple. So here it sort of shows, first column is your budget, then the next column, the BTD, is your budget to date. Sometimes in a quarter you'll have big revenues or big expensive, like all your casino funding comes in the first quarter, or you won't, all of your soccer expenses get paid out in a certain quarter, but your revenue came in somewhere else. So if you can budget kind of where those big groups are throughout the year, that really helps along the way, let you know where you are in relationship to your budget. So for program revenue, the budget to date was $10,812. The year to date, so far they've spent, they've received $9,600, so they're a little under on their revenue. And then the variance is your year to date minus your budget to date. So that pretty much kind of sort of outlines an idea of how you can set up your budgeting. The ESCL will be developing a series of financial management resources similar to this that we want to add to our website. So some potential new next topics are sample chart of accounts, the audit process, or what is a financial policy. I'm interested in hearing from you any requests or thoughts that you might have. Thanks for listening.